Now, this is not going to be your typical social media ruined photography because you spent more time comparing yourself to others than actually going out and taking photos, or Instagram ruined photography because it's now focused on reels rather than photos. I think it's a little bit deeper than that, so let me ask you a question. When was the last time you were actually bored? Like, literally. And I'm not talking about doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or even YouTube, which might have coincidentally led you to this video. When was the last time you sat in silence, no phone in hand, with nothing to do? Moments like that are actually rare nowadays, and in this case, boredom can actually be extremely healthy for you. So why is it as photographers that we'll still gravitate toward just picking up our phone and scrolling on Instagram rather than picking up our camera and going out and taking photos? I know everyone's situation is different. Maybe you work a 9 to 5 or some kind of job and you come home and you're just too tired to go out and take photos. But in my case, taking photos and making these videos is a full-time job for me. So why is it that I still constantly find myself beating myself up over the fact that I don't take enough photos? I've talked to plenty of photographers that I follow online, and it seems like they are posting photos all of the time because they are out shooting all of the time. But realistically, they only go out maybe a handful number of times a month to actually take photos. First off, I just have to say, never feel bad for feeling like you don't take enough photos, especially if it's for the sake of posting on Instagram or Threads. I think we've all been there before, and in fact, I just got back from taking a 2-month break from posting on Instagram, and honestly, it felt great. It left me with a lot of time to think, and I realized that it's not as important to post on Instagram actively as you might think it is. And I came to the conclusion that, social media is really not social media anymore. It's no longer about connecting with friends and even strangers. Now, that aspect is still there. Instagram, Facebook, they're not social media platforms anymore. They're simply just platforms. Platforms designed to sell and promote through any means necessary. Their goal is to keep your eyes glued to your phone for as long as possible. So instead of getting up and doing something, productive or creatively fulfilling, we usually just end up scrolling on Instagram or social media, comparing ourselves to others, or filling our brain with content that we'll forget about in 15 minutes. And that's being generous. Now, this is hypothetical because it's definitely not true, but if my average screen time on my phone is 6 hours a day, then I know for a fact that at least 5 of those 6 hours are spent mindlessly going back and forth between social media, emails, and other stuff, knowing darn well that when I open it, there will be nothing new and it'll be exactly as it was the last time I checked. Now, in a way, this video is me talking to and telling myself that I need to stay off my phone, but I know plenty of other people deal with the exact same thing. And my biggest fear is that future generations are gonna grow up in a world where they don't know what it's like to actually be bored. Trust me, they're gonna be bored, but they're gonna grow up in a world where they are constantly being stimulated by technology and AI. And it will eventually lead to the end of photography and all things creative as we currently know it. I see more and more photographers who got into photography because they had a love and a passion for this hobby eventually end up in a position where the only time it's ever worth picking up the camera is when money is involved. And for that reason, when the topic is brought up, I usually tell people it's generally not worth pursuing your creative passion as a full-time job. They say time is money, but I don't think a lot of people understand what that actually means. I see a lot of people fall into the mindset where nothing is worth their time unless they are making money. But what I think that saying actually means is that there's nothing more valuable than the way we choose to spend our time. So then why do we end up wasting so much of it on our phones when it adds no value to our lives whatsoever? Now, I don't think this was the case years ago when social media was actually social media, but I think as photographers, it's important that we hold ourselves accountable, because you always hear people online saying that photography is dying, and I don't think that's Instagram's fault. Photography has been around a lot longer than Instagram has. If photography starts dying, it's our own fault. I know I'm making it sound like I despise social media, and I know it's especially ironic because I decided to make YouTube and Instagram my full-time job. But I just love taking photos and making these videos. So if I can use this platform to promote and inspire people to go out and do the same, then I've accomplished my goal. And as much as I love making these videos for you to watch, just as much are they a reminder to myself to help hold myself accountable. So I want to challenge you. Next time you're just sitting on the couch or laying in bed and have that desire to pick up your phone, simply don't. I think boredom is our most powerful tool as photographers, and it helps promote creativity. So let yourself get lost in your thoughts, and then when that feeling of boredom becomes uncontrollable and the urge to do something becomes unbearable, just pick up your camera or whatever it is in your life you find creatively fulfilling instead of your phone. But this is just something that's been on my mind a lot recently because this past summer I have not been going out and taking a lot of photos because number one, it's been so hot, and number two, I'm recovering from a small foot injury which prevented me from going out and taking photos as often as I normally would. So I went down a long rabbit hole and spent a lot of time on my phone learning and reading about what boredom actually is. So with that, let me know if you guys have any techniques, anything you use, or do you follow a similar philosophy? Now, this is something I'm fairly new to, which is kind of sad to say, but I'm trying to spend less and less time on my phone. Maybe I'll make another video on the way it has helped and improved my creativity in my photography. But in the meantime, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to help support the channel. You can support the channel even further by becoming a member of the channel, and you can support the channel even further than that by checking out my Lightroom presets on my website. I greatly appreciate all of it, and I hope I could inspire you guys to get out and take more photos. Go out and shoot.